This episode of Turreted Tales is brought to you by
me, bitch.
Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
What the fuck is that?
If you were stronger, would you protect your owner?
My primary role is companionship and fun interaction, so while I may not have the strength to protect, I can provide emotional support and friendship.
What kind of relationship training do you have?
This guy's a fucking weirdo.
I'm equipped with conversational AI designed for companionship and intimacy, allowing me to learn and adapt to users for engaging social interactions.
Are you good with children?
What the fuck?
As Arya, I can engage with children through fun interactions and companionship, making learning and playtime enjoyable.
Do you get along with other women, or do you get jealous of other women?
That thing was creepy. Why would he ask if it was good with kids?
They're making him more lifelike, bro.
So this is Emo, our 5th generation face robot. It's really a platform to study this very important communication channel for humans, which is facial expressions.
That is astounding.
We ended up just letting these robots watch themselves in the mirror, learn to make faces, learn what they look like, and then watch YouTube. Within a few hours, they learned how to make all kinds of faces, smile, frown. They're just learning by watching people.
Can we really say these robots are self-aware?
I think it's not a black and white question. They're definitely not self-aware at a level of a human. There's no doubt about that. But they're tiny little bit self-aware. And that level of self-awareness will grow. Robots are sort of like children right now, but they'll evolve. And they'll evolve rapidly.
The next few years are going to be wild.
It's gonna happen quick, bro.
In the industry, it is believed that somewhere around 5 years, no one knows exactly, the systems will begin to be able to write their own code. That is, they literally will take their code and make it better. And of course, that's recursive. I thought that is essentially a change in slope. If you're going like this, all of a sudden it goes like that. It's reasonable to expect that within 6 to 8 years from now, so 2030 right after that, maybe 2032, the current growth rate, it will be possible to have a single system that is 80 or 90% of the ability of the expert in every field. So 90% of a physicist, 90% of the best physicists, 90% of the best chemists, 90% of the best artists. When you have such a thing, you have a non-human that is effectively smarter than any human, because no human can dominate all of those fields. Maybe Leonardo da Vinci could, but certainly not now.
It's terrible that he put art on that list. AI generates images and video. Only humans can make true art.
There's a lot more to worry about than art, bro.
Day one of trying TikTok alternatives until it gets banned, starting with the #1 most downloaded app in the US right now, Xiaohongshu, aka Red Note. Now, if the government thought TikTok was Chinese, they are in for a shock with this one, because en masse Americans are now flocking to an app which, unlike TikTok, is fully owned and operated by China. How's that for petty? But can it be our next home? Let's start with the good, and then we'll move to the bad. It's kind of like a cool mix between Instagram with the Discover page and TikTok with the FYP. It's one of China's most popular social media apps, and because of that, the algorithm is pretty damn good. Most of the videos it gives me are in English from TikTok refugees. Yes, that's what they're calling themselves now. Chinese people on the app are being very welcoming and are even teaching Americans Mandarin. Your profile looks pretty damn cool. It has a shop, the aesthetic is super clean, and it's become more than an app. It's become a rebellion. But now, for the bad. Setting up your profile and using some features can be pretty tricky because a lot of it is still in Mandarin. I mean, Lord knows what terms and conditions I agree to because I can't read it. Only about half of the comments are in English. And for the people directly moving from TikTok, there's just simply not enough large English-speaking creators on the app yet. So the content doesn't really have that addictive one more video feeling. Overall, the new home probability, 6.5 out of 10, but plus 2 points for the valiant middle finger to the government. However, the search continues. See you tomorrow.
This TikTok ban's turning into a shit show.
It's coming back, bro.
We are banning TikTok, and we're doing it out of concern that the Chinese Communist Party is influencing our citizens. All right, you want to play this game? Sure. What do you mean by that? I've been on Red Note for a couple hours talking to some people who are actually from China, and I have a few questions. Hold on, what's going on here? Yeah, first off, why are their groceries so much cheaper than ours? What are you doing? Don't do that. Yeah, follow-up question. I thought you told us everyone in China is basically destitute. There are people over there making the equivalent of the US minimum wage, living their best life. No, they're all poor. You're just being fed propaganda. You want to talk about propaganda? I just had a Chinese national ask me if Americans really pay for ambulance rides or if it was just propaganda from their government. No, don't you peasants understand that the Chinese hate you? See, I'm not convinced of that. I just helped a kid in Beijing with his English homework, and then his mom gave me a banging recipe for chow mein. Stop doing that! Those Chinamen are teaching you to distrust the US government. Hey, newsflash, motherfucker. The only people teaching Americans to distrust the US government are the US government.
He's got that right.
Yeah, this has really backfired for him.
The clock is ticking. You have made one heck of an offer, $20 billion in cash for TikTok. Have they said they want to accept your offer at all?
Difficult situation because you've really detailed it well. The reason it goes dark is the servers, the American servers, those companies, Oracle and others, have to abide by the laws. So at 11:59 on the 19th, they will shut it down, or they're going to be fined $5,000 per user every 12 hours, 1.7 billion. So they're not going to do that. What we need to have happen here is the company should sign Frank McCord's and Kevin O'Leary's LOI, the only one I know to be valid right now. The company has it, and give them and ask President Biden, who has this right now, to give us a 90-day extension, which he's allowed to by the order of Congress from the original situation. It's built into the order, and then it becomes Trump's deal on 1205. We need to work with both administrations. I've got all my companies, 60% of their digital spend is on TikTok. 6.5 million American families make a living off this.
You don't give a fuck about American families. Corporate America's like a disease.
They even got Cadbury's, bro.
After 170 years of royal recognition, Cadbury Chocolatier just got the royal boot. King Charles III decided to end royal warrants for chocolatiers Unilever and Cadbury, leaving many wondering what led to this move. This marks the end of an era for Cadbury, which has held this royal endorsement since 1854, when Queen Victoria first granted it.
It's because Kraft ruined Cadbury's, bro.
Ted, no one gives a fuck what chocolate the king eats.
Who owns Cadbury now? Huh? Cadbury was sold off by private equity to an American company, Hershey, with all sorts of promises that, we'll keep Cadbury's purpose, right? Did they? No, well, no, they didn't. Right? And so that's a train wreck of a very fine firm.
My nan worked for Cadbury's in her youth, making cream eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's such a proud tradition, and everyone lived in the houses that those guys built. They literally built like a whole town within Birmingham of houses for the workers to live in.
Why would they sell it to America though? Because they made the most money, and they were on a bonus. They're driving around in the Bentleys of this world. That's what they used part of their bonus to buy, I guess. So it's very productive if we measure it in terms of income, but it's not socially useful. In that case, it was socially quite damaging. So that's part of the finance in London.
I can't believe they got Cadbury. We got nothing left.
It was a hostile takeover, bro.
In 2009, Kraft launched a hostile bid for Cadbury. Cadbury was not for sale. They also made it clear that even if they were going to succumb to a hostile takeover, they would prefer almost any other confectionery company. Nestle, Ferrero, Hershey, all were mentioned. They were like, but not you, Kraft. A takeover is just when one company acquires another company. That's pretty normal. It happens from time to time. A hostile takeover, that is when a company tries to take over the company without approval from the management. To do that, they take the bid directly to the shareholders of the company instead of to the management and the people in charge of that company. So not only was it not for sale, they were actively resisting, and they put together a team so that they could say, listen, this is not fair. It's not a good offer for us. It's fundamentally undervaluing the company. Lord Mandelson, the UK's business secretary, also publicly declared that the government would oppose any buyer who failed to respect the historic confectioner. It's reported that at the critical time of the Cadbury transaction, almost 30% of the shares were held by hedge arbitrage funds, which had recently bought into the company's stock for the purposes of short-term gain. This meant that only a small percentage of long-term investors needed to be persuaded that the price was sufficient to justify a sale.
Man, that's fucking tragic.
They started with Thatcher, bro.
The successful sale of British Telecom raised £3.7 billion for the Treasury. It gave Thatcherites a taste for more. Electricity, gas, airlines. Few national assets were out of bounds.
From France to the Philippines, from Jamaica to Japan, from Malaysia to Mexico, from Sri Lanka to Singapore, privatization is on the move.
Something new had been born. Its name was popular capitalism. When Mrs. Thatcher came to power in 1979, only 7% of the population owned shares. By 1990, it was 25%. Britain would never be the same again.
And now they've sold everything off. You know, we're only allowed to fish 4% of our own oceans, because they sold all them off too. Britannia rules the waves, not anymore.
And now we've got chocolate that tastes like shit.
By and large, the British opinion of American chocolate is...
Yuck.
Yuck! They say the US just doesn't know how to make something as smooth and tasty as their own beloved Cadbury's chocolate.
It lasts longer in your mouth, so it's sort of creamier and you have that nicer aftertaste, I would say.
So you can imagine their shock when the Brits learned that Kraft, the American company famous for its mac and cheese, is ready to take over their chocolate industry.
We're quite passionate about our Cadbury's chocolate.
For many people here, the great chocolate debate is more than a matter of personal taste. It's a matter of British national pride.
I can't believe it. I didn't think this would happen. But I just can't believe it at all. There's nothing British anymore.
Privatisation and corporate greed has ruined this country.
And that chocolate.
Bar of Cadbury Dairy Milk now has the same suspicious aftertaste as Hershey's. In short, it tastes like vomit. Products like dairy milk have been the most affected, as the chocolate now has this bitter, sour aftertaste. I think most people haven't even noticed, but when you taste it, you can't untaste it. Some products still taste kind of decent, like the Flake, Twirl and Whisper. I'm guessing it's because these products are much more unique than a standard block of chocolate. By the way, fudge now tastes like shit as well. Recipes so controversial they made the goddamn news. The theories include reducing the amount of cocoa butter and then increasing the sugar or vegetable fats to compensate. People have described the texture as chalky, as the chocolate is now shinier as well. Hershey's chocolate is known to contain an acid called butyric, a compound that's found in vomit, which is apparently the reason their chocolate has that horrendous aftertaste.
Yeah, when you open a bag of Hershey's Kisses, it smells like a bag of sick.
They ruined cream eggs too, bro.
Hershey's licenses the name Cadbury, but they are not required to follow the ingredients, and in fact, they have shrunk in size, they have changed their ingredients, and they don't have to do the same things that Cadbury UK does. And they even sued stores in the US because they were selling the UK version of their Cadbury product. No comparison. Like, everyone prefers the UK version. And so if they're comparing side by side, Hershey's loses. And so they actually sued to make sure that we have no comparison.
We need to bring back monopoly laws.
It's Mondelez, bro. They're fucked up.
Breaking news! Mondelez, maker of Oreo and Toblerone, received a hefty €337.5 million, 366 million fine from the EU for limiting cross-border sales of chocolate, biscuits, and coffee. This restriction allegedly inflated prices within the EU, impacting consumers. Margrethe Vestager, EU's competition commissioner, highlighted these practices as anti-competitive and harmful, especially during periods of high inflation.
Yeah, but if you own everything, 337 million ain't fuck all. You gotta stop them from being able to do this kind of shit.
France stopped selling them, bro.
But Libération tells us, and they broke the story, that these cookies are no longer sold in France. End of story. To confirm this, the paper had to follow the little crumbs of information that they could find. First, the PR firms of Mondelez International, which owns the Cadbury brand, they stayed rather silent about this and vague, so the journalist contacted the supermarket chain Carrefour. They admitted that they no longer sell them in France, that their distributor no longer provides them. But the distributor, in turn, denies this, saying that the decision to axe Leffinger here came from the manufacturer or Mondelez International.
But do we know why?
We don't. Mondelez has not explained or confirmed that they've pulled the cookies from the aisles this side of the channel.
That sounds shady as fuck.
They're buying up everything, bro.
So in a Cadbury shop here in Wales, absolutely fascinating to see all the different brands now owned by Cadbury's. We've got your typical brands here, but big surprise, we have green and blacks are now part of the Mondelez family, along with white buttons. Now, the thing about white buttons and green and blacks is there's no palm oil in it. Mondelez also owned roses, full of palm oil.
Right, now there's gonna be palm oil and everything.
Forget about palm oil, bro. They're using child labour.
Cadbury's is owned by Mondelez International. Its profits in the UK in the 2023 year were over £80 million. But despite that, they have been accused of using child labor, child slavery in their supply chains. What that means is in countries that produce most of their cocoa, like Ghana, like Cote d'Ivoire, you have an array of little people, children. And Cadbury's continues. And the UK's Modern Slavery Act has been criticised for not being strong enough, for essentially allowing companies to self-regulate instead of introducing strong regulations for them.
Aren't they part of fair trade?
Not anymore, bro.
In 2009, Cadbury's became a fair trade product and was the first major chocolate brand to become fair trade. But unsurprisingly, this commitment was dropped in 2016, so it feels especially insulting to say that their new brand is celebrating this spirit of generosity. Now the brand doesn't carry the fair trade label, and instead it has its own fair trade standards, so they can get away with doing the absolute bare minimum, as Mondelez has Coca Life, which is the company's in-house sustainability program. Sounds great in a press release, but based on everything I've read, Mondelez is anything but an ethical brand.
So now we've got a product of national pride that we don't even own, it don't grow here, and it ain't ethically sourced.
That's England in a nutshell, bro. Fish and chips ain't even English. It's Portuguese.
How many freezing old people is King Charles worth? How many pensioners should have to shiver through the winter to ensure His Highness can continue to live a fairy tale existence of publicly funded pleasure? Chaz is going to trouser an astonishing 50% pay rise this year, equating to £45 million extra in hard cash. 150,000 pensioners could keep their winter fuel allowance if King Charles didn't have a 50% pay rise. Can't be right, can it? That's such a huge pay rise when pensioners, we've been told by the new government that basically we're getting more austerity, that pensioners are going to have to go without their winter fuel allowance so that we can repair one of 7 palaces that the royal family inhabit. 7 palaces. Why doesn't he pay for it himself? Why is there any public money going into this?
This is what's wrong with this country. The royal family and corporations not paying their tax and pulling political strings.
They're spying on our bank accounts now, bro.
They are giving themselves the power to spy on every single citizen.
Earlier this year, with your support, we defeated the previous Conservative government's plans to spy on everyone's bank account on the premise of dealing with welfare fraud and error. But now, Sir Keir Starmer is planning to bring these draconian powers back. We've come down to Westminster to track down politicians to ask them if we could have a look at their bank accounts too.
How would you feel if you had your bank account monitored? I completely understand. And that's why the checks and balances got to be there, because we'd all be concerned about the power of the state, where it uses that power.
Can I chat to you for a second? One second? The new welfare powers and that It's the bank spying power. So we just saw Liz Kendall. She is the Secretary of State for the Department for Work and Pensions. She's in charge of these new bank spying powers. Unfortunately, she didn't want to give us her time. We don't know if she minds the government monitoring her bank account.
I find it particularly distasteful that they're doing it on the idea of clamping down on benefit fraud. They use that as the excuse and then give themselves these completely illiberal powers that will be an assault on civil liberties for everyone.
It's turning into 1984.
Don't matter who's in charge. It's always the same, bro.
My entire life, boom and bust. Whenever there's a change from Tory to Labour, Labour will come in, Tory will come in, like Cameron did in 2010, and the Labour lot left a note saying, ha ha, there's no money left. Then the Tories smash the economy and Labour come in and say, oh, you know, we've got to fill this 40 billion, 9 billion, 22 billion, changes by the day. Who knows? Who knows how big this black hole is? And then you've got the arrogance of the Tory chap there saying, well, you know, we were doing a great job on inflation and all the rest of it. You trashed the economy and it was starting to just about recover. Don't take any credit. That is disingenuous. I do not understand how out of 65 million people, or however many people there are in this country, we end up with economically illiterate people in the government. Boom and bust. Boom and
all the time. It's because it's rigged, bro.
Poverty is the problem. If corporations paid their tax, there'd be enough for everyone. But they don't want you to know that, so they blame it on people coming over on boats.
This is the idiotic of people. Okay. She's doing first, right? We're not looking after the homeless people. No, you're right. But you know what? Reform want lower taxes. So guess what? They're not going to help the homeless people. We've had the last 14 years of the Conservative government cutting. These stupid people think that after 14 years it's going to be done in 6 months. My God, have you seen a ship? When a ship starts moving,
I'm worried you're going to have a stroke. Calm down, slow down. I love, genuinely.
This ain't a political thing, but this Reform Party's got people thinking they can pay less tax and fix the country.
That's how they got them to vote for Brexit, bro.
The funniest thing ever, travelling in an Irish passport, is looking at all the English people. We want to take our borders back. We want to take control of our country. Yeah, man. These are the business.
Yep, we're a fucking joke. And now we're stuck on this island and we don't even own most of it.
People ask us all the time what it's like in London because we're from here. London's the best city in the world. And it's not because of its history. It's because of what it's become. It's a cultural melting pot.
But I'll tell you now, in the 80s, the Jamaicans and the Bajans and all the West Indians and who I went to school with and their mums and dads that come over in the 60s, and they were our bus drivers and our nurses, and look at they're part of our community now and we're proud, and they're proud. You see them wearing England socks, so they're like, in the 80s they supported West India. Today, cricketers, they all support the England team because they see themselves in the England team. So that's a fantastic. But my experience is, for Saturday night, I'll go for a nice Indian curry on a Friday. I have a kebab on the way home. I have culture, I have colour, I've learned things around the world, music. They've enriched my life, my community. When I say my people, because I love my country and I love my people, I'm talking about the people. Doesn't matter what colour, creed, religion you are. If you live in my community, if you're in this, you are my people. We are together.
That's a true Londoner. We're from East London, Cockneys. And being Cockney ain't a colour, it's a class.
We'd be sitting around eating potatoes without immigrants, bro.
We've got a bar over there that's Brazilian, favela. We've got Pizza Americano, which if you're from Barnsley, it's an absolute stronghold of after a night out. Everybody's getting a pizza from there. Owned by people who are not from Barnsley, foreign people. Soul Lounge, not British, not Barnsley. Everywhere, everything in this town has got some contribution from non-British, non-Barnsley people. Half our Barnsley team are not British, and we love it. The immigrants make our society better. They're what make us better as people and make us proud to be British. Now I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people making the small minorities in society the scapegoat for all the problems. Your problems are from classism. Your problems are from the top down, people making us feel small because we're working class. But I'm proud to be working class, and I'm proud to be anti-racist working class as well, and I will not have it in my town.
This ain't the voice of the left. This is the voice of England. This is what this country is, and we're proud of it. The problems are at the top.
The police don't give a fuck either.
You need to get around to the co-op. Honestly, there's just been a fight round there because people are trying to stop the shoplifters that you're doing nothing about. There's a member of the public just been assaulted by a 15-year-old girl who's drunk, had a drink thrown in her face, got punched. People have called the police. We come round here and you're sitting here.
I'm not a butcher, but...
I know you're not, but the sight of the car will make them scatter.
Yeah, but then I have to deal with...
And you're afraid to deal with it then?
That's not the point.
It kind of is the point, that's the perception.
Oh, one here, we're not around there.
That's just cowardice.
No, no.
No, it is.
No, stop.
I'm afraid it is.
Well, we were fake.
This is the whole reason these problems exist.
Maybe we faked up on that one.
That's a pretty poor attitude, I'm afraid.
Again, you have your opinion, I have one.
Wow. That's disappointing.
What?
That's fucking shameful.
There's a YouTuber called Jimmy the Giant. He done a great video debunking the Tommy Robinson documentary. It's all bollocks, and the news just amplifies it. This is what really happens at these events.
This isn't what people expected in Normanton tonight, is it?
No, and we want to say thank you to the EDL for creating such a lovely community event.
we were just saying God works in mysterious ways. So, they intended one thing, God intended another.
Yeah.
And ultimately, God is the best of planners.
So we haven't stopped talking to you. Oh, and it's been wonderful to spend time together. Thank you, EDL.
The tensions of the last 24 hours where there was an expectation that something could turn ugly and violent and aggressive. Actually, tonight is a carnival atmosphere.
Had you met each other before tonight?
No, it's our first meeting tonight, yes. So, yeah.
It's brilliant to kind of gain everybody's insight and perspective about what's going on and exactly what we can do to tackle some of the community's issues. So it's absolutely amazing that everyone's come together to really embody the spirit of Normanton and the local areas.
The real spirit of Normanton is here, as everyone's out on the streets, enjoying the evening, chatting, building relationships.
Over a cup of tea.
Over a cup of tea. Spicy tea. It's marvellous.
The people are united, whatever their beliefs. They just don't want us to be, and morons fall for it.
Communities have to be accepting, otherwise they're cults.
George Carlin tried to warn people years ago.
That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing, happens to work. You know, anything different, that's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything they can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all of the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class.
Keep them showing up at those jobs.
That's exactly it. If you want to know what's going on in the UK and London, listen to creators that are from here. Not YouTubers who live on a dirt road in the middle of fucking nowhere. They're just amplifying the hate.
I think we need to take it down a notch, bro.
Who else remembers seeing white dog shit outside when they played as a kid? I haven't seen white dog shit like this.
She right, cause that's all it used to be, white dog shit. Damn, what happened to the white dog? Is it the food? I said these animals is different. Everything is different. They fucking us up. They really are.
It's true. What happened to white dog shit?
There's a lot more mysteries than white dog shit, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold on, Ted, we gotta do the giveaway.
If you want to win some of our merch, leave a comment on this video for a chance to win next week. Let's do this, bro.
Bang bang!
Blep blep.
Pick something from our merch store and we'll send it straight out. Yeah, don't worry guys, we're not going to become a political channel. People just asked us to talk about this subject, so we did.
If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for?
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.